Today we're going to be talking about why your accounting department is a mess. I'm Kristy with Kristy Barber Consulting, and I help manufacturing, distribution, and service-based companies, along with e-commerce, helping them build out their accounting departments and looking at their systems and processes. First, let's dive into why your department's a mess. There's a couple of things that can be going on at the same time. One being you have set up your accounting department on the fly. Maybe your business was doing a whole bunch of income, you're trying to get product out the door, and you haven't had as much time to devote to really getting your accounting systems put into place and even the processes, whether that's getting your bills paid, being able to get payment from your customers, etc. So that's a big one to start looking into, is what's causing all of that. The second reason why your accounting department could be a mess is you just don't have the right people in place. It could be that their experience and what they can do for you is just not up to par of what you need for them. It could be in the beginning they were able to meet all of your needs, and now as your business is growing, you have exceeded their level of expertise. The third reason could be you're moving too quickly. You don't have anything set in stone about how you do things, and you're pivoting and moving. And while that's good, sometimes you need to have things in place to be able to set parameters of how your accounting department would work. Good example of this, sometimes you have people coming in, you have employees doing things one way, another doing another way, and then at the end of the day, everybody's doing something differently. And that's just, nobody's on the same page and things aren't getting done the way they should be because you've been trying to keep up with the growth of your company instead of build it out in the meantime. The fourth one is you're cutting too many deals on the side. It could be you want to sell a product to a customer and they don't necessarily have the means to pay the price that you have, and you're like, I'll cut you a deal. And how many times are you going to put that in place? And it kind of goes back to the same thing, putting processes in place of, hey, we have pricing tiers and these are the pricing tiers we would abide by, and having the accounting department set that up. So when thinking about this mess, it can probably be overwhelming. Kind of probably when you were a kid and your mom was like, hey, you need to clean your room because it's a tornado in there and you got to figure out what boxes everything go into, how to make your bed, put things where they should be. But the same thing can be for your accounting department. And it's knowing how best to put it back together. That's what we're going to talk about next. So thinking about where do you start next to rebuild this? Let's start thinking of it as, let's take a box over here, and what are we going to put in this box versus what are we going to put in this box? You can think of going back to the previous part of building out tiered pricing for customers, and maybe based on the quantity that they order in the beginning, because they're smaller and they can't necessarily pay what you would like them to pay to stay within the parameters that you have, you start setting up some pricing plans that can be consistent. Hey, when I work with companies around this size, then this is the pricing that I work with them with. And that way you're not having too many things going on the side, and then pretty soon your sales department is, well, what do we do for a pricing? And it's just a good way to get it back into place. Another box to look at is, what systems am I looking at? Am I just working with one accounting software? Am I working with ancillary softwares that are plugging in to be able to make the accounting department work how it should? That's a great way to just start doing an inventory of software that you have and then deciding, hey, does this really add value to what we're doing? And if not, then it's a great way to get rid of it and try to see the systems that you use today. Are there other modules or other ways within it that it can serve those needs? And that comes up a lot, especially with merchant systems, etc. You'll see a lot of that in there. So those are two ways to do it. Probably the biggest one is putting in really solid processes. How do I pay my bills and how do I receive money in from my customers? Because you don't want to be that company that has past due invoices and you got your suppliers calling you and you're like, hey, I need you to pay this. You don't want to be that person. And if you have great processes for how it's put together, it'll help you in the long run. And the same thing with collecting money from customers, depending on what type of industry you're in. Some, it's credit card and it's paid right away. Others are you're waiting for a check from them. And that could be sometimes 60, 90 days. You want to be able to have a process in there that is continually reaching out and making sure those payments are coming in. One of the other things you'll see is sometimes in the beginning you're pivoting too much because you just want to get product out the door and you're like, I just got to hurry and get this invoice done. I'll just do it this way. and it's not consistent with how you normally do business, and then your customer is starting to see, oh, I saw an invoice come this way, I saw one come this way. While pivoting is good and you're moving along and adapting to change, there are still reasons why having processes in place makes sense. And this goes back to a handful of clients that I've helped do this as well. As they use QuickBooks, they may use a different third-party software that helps with some of the invoicing, and there's never anything that's quite consistent of how it comes through. And so being able to create, this is the way we do things, while there still is ways to adjust and move, we're just tightening it up slightly to help make the process better. And that's something that we help a lot of clients do, is just looking at what does that look like and finding the best way to help your accounting department be successful. So when you're looking at an accounting mess, it can be overwhelming, like I've mentioned before. And if you don't see any end in sight, you don't know which boxes to start putting away, where to stack what, feel free to reach out to us and we can set up a time to look through how to help you get your accounting department back in order, because it is the foundation of your business. And when your foundation is shaky, then everything else starts to get shaky as well. Thanks so much for watching this video. I hope you learned something to start implementing in your accounting department today. In the description below, I linked a free resource for you to help get you started cleaning up the mess in your accounting department. Feel free to connect with me on any other platforms below.